Think you can recognize Hollywood's most timeless beauties from the swinging 70s? You'll see a recent photo of these legendary actresses, icons who once ruled the silver screen, and get 5 seconds to guess who it is. Then we reveal them in their prime from their most memorable screen moments. Keep score as you go and share your results in the comments. Let's dive into this golden age of beauty. Behold the ethereal beauty Jacqueline Bisset, whose wet t-shirt scene in the deep caused such a sensation that the film's costume designer received death threats from jealous women worldwide. She speaks 5 languages fluently and was personally chosen by Francois Truffaut for Day for Night because he said her eyes contained 1,000 untold stories. In 2025, she's 80. The infectious giggle belongs to Goldie Hawn, whose dumb blonde persona was actually calculated genius. She has an IQ of 160 and speaks fluent Italian. Her Academy Award acceptance speech was so emotional that it's still used in acting classes to teach authentic vulnerability. In 2025, she's 79. That ice-cold elegance is Faye Dunaway, whose perfectionism was so legendary that she once demanded 47 takes for a single scene in Chinatown. Her portrayal of Joan Crawford in Mommy Dearest was so convincing that Christina Crawford said watching it gave her PTSD flashbacks. She's 84 in 2025. Here's the controversial Beauty Bo Derek, whose cornrows in 10 sparked both a fashion trend and cultural appropriation debates decades before the term existed. She met her director, husband John Derek, when she was 16 and he was 46, a romance that scandalized Hollywood but lasted until his death. In 2025, she's 68. That quirky charm belongs to Diane Keaton, whose Annie Hall wardrobe was actually her own clothes because she refused to wear the costume designer's girly outfits. She never married and famously dated Warren Beatty, Woody Allen, and Al Pacino, collecting Oscar nominations like other women collect shoes. She's 79 in 2025. You're seeing the tragic beauty Ally MacGraw, whose natural makeup-free look in Love Story started the no-makeup trend that's still popular today. Her marriage to Steve McQueen was so tumultuous that she once hid in a hotel bathroom for 6 hours to escape his jealous rage. In 2025, she's 86. That's the activist icon Jane Fonda, whose Barbarella spacesuits were so form-fitting that she had to be sewn into them daily and couldn't sit down between takes. Her anti-Vietnam War stance made her the most hated woman in America for a decade, yet she used that notoriety to launch a fitness empire worth millions. She's 87 in 2025. Witness the all-American beauty, Cybill Shepherd, whose affair with director Peter Bogdanovich was so scandalous that it destroyed his marriage and nearly ended both their careers. She was discovered at a beauty pageant, but later became so difficult on sets that insurance companies required Cybill clauses in film contracts. In 2025, she's 75. That's the iconic Wonder Woman herself, Lynda Carter, whose costume was so perfectly fitted that it required a team of seamstresses and took 45 minutes to put on. She performed all her own spinning transformations and still gets dizzy thinking about them. And her theme song reached number 37 on the Billboard charts. She's 73 in 2025. The sensual intellectual Susan Sarandon, whose love scene in the Rocky Horror Picture Show was filmed in a freezing castle, causing her visible goosebumps that became part of the film's cult appeal. She dated men 20 years younger well into her 60s, proving age is just a number in Hollywood romance. In 2025, she's 78. That haunting presence is Sissy Spacek, whose Carrie audition was so terrifying that Stephen King himself said she gave him nightmares for weeks afterward. She lived in her car for months trying to make it in Hollywood and still keeps the keys as a reminder of her humble beginnings. She's 75 in 2025. Meet the red-headed dynamo Marilu Henner, who possesses a rare condition called hyperthymesia, allowing her to remember every single day of her life in perfect detail. She can tell you what she wore, ate, and did on any date since she was 14 years old. In 2025, she's 73. That's the golden goddess herself, Farrah Fawcett, whose feathered hair became the most copied hairstyle in history. Her Charlie's Angels poster sold 12 million copies, making it the best-selling pinup of all time, and she deliberately left the show at its peak to prove she was more than just a pretty face. She passed away in 2009. That's the fearless Margot Kidder, whose Superman screen test was so magnetic that Christopher Reeve fell in love with her instantly, though their romance remained strictly professional. Her mental health struggles were so public that tabloids hired private investigators to follow her, making her one of the first celebrities to openly discuss bipolar disorder. She passed away in 2018 at the age of 69. That's the revolutionary force Pam Grier, who became the first African-American woman to headline action films and personally performed every fight scene without a stunt double. Quentin Tarantino wrote Jackie Brown specifically for her 20 years after her blaxploitation heyday, calling her the greatest action heroine in cinema history. She's 75 in 2025. You're looking at the mysterious Natalie Wood, whose fear of water was so intense that she required a body double for swimming scenes, making her drowning death even more tragic and suspicious. She was one of the few child stars to successfully transition to adult roles, earning 3 Oscar nominations by age 25. She passed away in 1981. She was only 43. That sophisticated allure belongs to Catherine Deneuve, the French goddess who turned down every Hollywood offer to preserve her European mystique. She was Yves Saint Laurent's muse for over 30 years and still refuses to speak English in interviews, communicating only through translators. She's 76 in 2025. Here's Lynda Blair, whose possession scenes in The Exorcist were so realistic that priests were called to bless the set multiple times. She received death threats from religious fanatics and required FBI protection, and the film's success typecast her so severely that she struggled to find non-horror roles for decades. In 2025, she's 66. The stunning Candice Bergen, whose father was the famous ventriloquist Edgar Bergen, making her technically the daughter of Charlie McCarthy's brother. She was a professional photographer before acting and once dated Henry Kissinger, proving her taste in powerful men extended beyond Hollywood. She's 79 in 2025. That's the smoky-voiced seductress Kathleen Turner, whose sultry performance in Body Heat launched her to instant stardom and made every man in America reconsider their marriage vows. She was so perfectly cast as the femme fatale that the film's insurance company required her to take acting lessons, fearing she was too convincing as a murderer. In 2025, she's 70. You're witnessing the ethereal beauty Jessica Lange, whose King Kong screen test involved her climbing a 60-foot replica hand while wearing a torn dress and screaming for 3 hours straight. She won an Oscar for Tootsie despite having only 12 minutes of screen time, proving that quality trumps quantity in Hollywood magic. She's 76 in 2025. That dangerous elegance belongs to Glenn Close, whose Fatal Attraction audition was so terrifying that the casting director's assistant quit the same day, claiming she'd seen pure evil incarnate. Her iconic bunny boiling scene wasn't in the original script. She improvised it during rehearsal and traumatized the entire crew. In 2025, she's 78. Behold the captivating Meryl Streep, whose chameleon-like ability to master accents is so legendary that dialect coaches worldwide use her performances as the gold standard. She learned to speak fluent Polish for Sophie's Choice in just 6 weeks and still dreams in different accents depending on her current role. She's 76 in 2025. That radiant smile belongs to Jill Clayburgh, who's an unmarried woman broke ground as the first mainstream film to show a divorced woman enjoying her sexuality without punishment. She performed her own dance sequences and insisted on doing 37 takes of her emotional breakdown scene until she achieved the perfect tear trajectory. She passed away in 2010. So how many of these 30 70s sirens did you recognize? Drop your score in the comments. Bonus points if you can name the specific films we pulled these classic shots from. These women didn't just define beauty for a generation. They shattered barriers, challenged conventions, and proved that true star power transcends time. If you enjoyed testing your knowledge of Hollywood's golden goddesses, smash that like button, subscribe for more nostalgic content, and share this with fellow classic film lovers.